go. And we're back. Welcome to the Revitalize Your Life podcast, the podcast that's about to change the way that you guys think about your health, your energy, and living your best life. And we are here today with the lovely Gemma Burns. Gemma is an amazing individual. We are so grateful to have you on the podcast with us today. And Gemma, let me know if I'm doing you a disservice here, but you are a female hormone, fertility, gut health, menopause, functional, nutritional therapist. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Let me know if
that's it.
I'm getting it wrong. And
Yeah, all
we
good.
we all, we all met, and we're just talking off air, in the same course back in the day, Institute of Health, and we've still continued catching up all these years, and we've finally got Gemma on. We've finally got a date together in the diary. I'm so excited to have her on because she's a wealth of knowledge. Like, yeah, you guys are in for a treat today with all things women's health, menopause, pre and postnatal. We're going to go into all of it, hopefully. Many rabbit holes. And Gemma, without further ado, thanks for coming on.
Okay, no problem. Lovely to be on and lovely to see you.
Yeah, and it is. And Gemma, let's actually deep dive into what got you in the industry. We've blagged about ourselves on our podcast before, so I'd love to let the listeners know what made you get into this realm of functional health and working with women particularly for you because yeah, I would love.
Um, yeah, so I suppose I after school I always kind of had an interest in health, and after school I went and did like one of those health promotion degrees it was called at the time, which was basically just like, yeah, no level of health, we'll say, in it, basic food pyramid style, 4-year degree. You come out and it's like, what do you do now? No qualification, as I kind of call it. But look, I did it, and that was that. So I said, what am I going to do now? Am I going to go into like dietetics or something, which was another 4 or 5 years? Obviously, I'm 21 or 2, don't want to do more college. So I decided to be a beauty therapist, which I always had an interest in. So went and studied that for 2 years, made my own beauty salon. But again, I was still drawn to this nutritional element of it, wanting to work with people with acne, skin conditions, that had issues. But I used to get frustrated with like, take this cream or use this cream, but never what's going on for that person. Why do they have this? So then I started encountering my own health issues, recurrent UTIs, debilitating periods, and trying to get help from the doctors and GPs and gynaes. Yeah, you know yourselves. So there was no kind of answers. I remember having to get a cyst removed actually, and going into my hospital and being like, why do I have this? And the hospital just saying, oh, you wouldn't be a woman if you didn't have a cyst. Then I started having a load of antibiotics, started getting recurrent thrush, went to the doctor, why am I getting this? Or maybe cut back on bananas. Like that was as deep as the level went. Nothing about, okay, you've been on mass antibiotics. Not, I was on the pill on and off through teenage years, early 20s. So I was like, okay, I have to start studying something else here. I need to know more about this. So I found a private college, we'll say, for the nutritional therapy. And I did that then for 3 years. Yeah, amazing, like amazing learnings. Like it was just a course with just health learnings. Sometimes degrees is like an hour of health in the week, and then you learn how to read a report, and other things can be beneficial. But this was just really nitty gritty health for 3 years. I would say everyone in our class became orthorexic, as in, so went down the like everything is bad and everything is toxic, which can happen. So kind of had to learn myself, okay, what can we do while living in this world and not being demented that everything is bad, we'll say. So then I went and started working in a health store and managed that for 6 years. Started practicing a little bit on my own, and then I suppose when I joined that course that I met you on, I saw loads of people practicing and doing well, so I kind of started then, and yeah, that was it then. So that's probably what, maybe four years ago maybe, and just been practicing ever since. Then gravitated over time, I suppose I'm of that age, I was kind of trying to get pregnant then, and was having some fertility struggles again, dealing with that whole industry again, doctors, fertility clinics, no answers, no this, no further testing. So yeah, managed to get there on our own after being told, oh, you'll need IVF, and yeah, didn't have to get IVF. So yeah, then I feel like I now, because of that whole fertility journey, that I would kind of get fertility would be my number one clientele, we'll say. But then everything that goes alongside, some people come there like, it's just fertility, I just want to get pregnant. It's like, okay, but is your gut off? Are what hormones are affecting? So everything that's incorporated in that. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, and why I started. And now I would feel like my health is in abundance, and I don't have any of those issues that I would have had years ago. And all done from learning root causes, doing various protocols. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was very long-winded.
I love it. What a so it's so cool because our journeys all started differently, and it's so interesting to hear yours, Gem, as well. Because when we first met on that course, it's sort of you're thrown in the deep end, and I don't think we've ever like discussed like where we all started, what really drew us to where we are. But one thing's for certain is the current health system that we're all not completely against, but we know we've all been let down some way. Mark, yourself with your irritable bowel, and colitis. Myself with the whole chronic fatigue issue, backwards and forwards, and you, Gem, with your health issues, and especially around the whole fertility piece, because yeah, it is only getting worse. Like even the 4 years, and I can't believe it's been 4 years since we all met on that course. Um, it's not getting any better, is it? I know, like working with clients, we see it individually, but as a global statistic, it's just getting worse, isn't it?
Yeah, fertility is yeah, it's just crazy at the moment. Now again, I'm like, is it because I'm in this field that I see more? But I do feel like more than ever, fertility is an issue. And then in Ireland, I know in the UK it's a bit different, but in Ireland now there's a free IVF round. So say one round of IVF, so as much eggs as you can get retrieved that turn into embryos, that's free, one shot. So now I have clients coming who are already in this hub, it's called in Ireland, getting IVF. Oh, geez, sorry, my glasses. Getting IVF and never even had bloods tested. Like, and I mean, now these girls are coming to me and I'm like, okay, can you send me all bloods you've had checked? And Ireland would be better than the UK for doctors checking certain bloods, like three hormones, like three hormones, FSH, LH, so like a brain to ovary communication, that's it. Like there's so much involved in fertility, nutrient status, stress hormones, gut health, like three hormones, and then just off you go for IVF. And I feel like sometimes people it's such a vulnerable time for people. They're panicked. Oh, this is not even happening. Some people are panicked after 2 3 months, right? I would say that's premature. But once you've been trying for 6 months at a certain age or a year, you go into this hub and then it's IVF, off you go. And I had one girl the other day contact me after going through a round of retrieval, no embryos, like nothing. And now they're telling her to go take a load of ubiquinol. And it's like, why was she not told before she was put through this massive amount of retrieval? Why is it now? And then it's like a failed round, a failed round, a failed round, a failed transfer. Oh, what's my plan for the next time? Oh, we just keep going. We just keep going. And there's never any more. Checked at another girl yesterday with failed rounds and multiple miscarriages. Never did this thing called a high cozy. So like checking the internal environment, cervix, tubes, all that. And she had endometriosis, which would be an infection in the endometrium. She's now pregnant. So look, hopefully all goes well for her. But yeah, it's crazy, and it's amazing these services are being offered, and I'm not sure what the way is in the UK. I think there's something about the NHS. Maybe if you're in that loop, you're guaranteed a baby with numerous IVF tries as well. But I'm not sure what is it cost wise or is it free. But yeah, I feel there's an over push on these modalities before a root cause investigation first.
Yeah,
From my seeing anyway, whatever about in the UK.
yeah, yeah. And I've seen it as well. You, Mark, were talking about this with a client you had years ago to me with the whole fertility piece, and I've seen it myself with this whole approach. It's just get them in, get them out. Give them the bare basics, and send them on their way. But I feel like as men even aren't educated on the fertility equation, just how much we play a role in our realm for fertility. It's 60. Well, I could be doing the numbers wrong, but quite a large percentage, right, from a male
Mm.
perspective. in terms of fertility. And we see it time and time again. They're like not even explained to us like how an actual menstrual cycle works, you know? Like we're just
Yeah.
figuring this stuff out.
Yeah.
And you wonder why, you know, your wife, your partner, her mood changes, why she doesn't, you know, get results in the gym. It's because that is effectively, you know, going to be changing her whole entire
Mhm.
health and everything
Yeah.
around it, you know. So it's not just fertility, is it? It's more, it's so much more to this as well. And it can be overwhelming. I get it because, you know, everyone just wants to get pregnant. Everyone wants to sort of just have a life. They want to have security, family, but there's a lot more to it now than it was 10, 20 years ago. So,
Yeah. And then there's the contraception. I think like our generation, well, I'm not sure what age groups year, I'm presuming you're around the same as me, but sorry if I'm wrong on anyone. But you'd say you're younger, but like say my age, 30s, 38. So all that kind of 30s, late 30s, all would have been slapped on contraception since they're like 16, 17. And then again, I had another client this morning and I'm like, she wants to get pregnant and she's been very proactive. She's like, what can I do now when I get the coil removed in 3 months that I'm in a better position? And I'm like, okay, what was your cycle like before? And she's like, oh, I don't know my cycle before. Like, I was 18 when I went on contraception. So that's also a part to play. Or someone goes to GP and it's like, you've PCOS, let's put you on the pill. Come back when you want to get pregnant. And then they're trying for 3 months and their cycles are regular. It's like, oh, IVF. Instead of being like, okay, let's try and get on top of this PCOS now. Don't
yeah,
bother putting the pill in if you don't want it from a contraceptive means. And then when you go to get pregnant, hopefully your cycles are regular, inflammation's down, egg quality, all these things happen easier. So yeah, there's a generation that's definitely only figuring out about themselves and their cycles in their mid to late 30s when they want to have a baby. You know,
yeah,
whereas I do feel maybe the early 20s age group generation may be different in 10 years because I do feel there's more education out there now. Maybe not, but
yeah.
hopefully you would hope.
Yeah, well, I think you think you're bang on, and Gemma, in terms of like the listeners as well, because we get a big mix of listeners. For those who are not educated on the cycle, because we know everyone's woman's cycle is different. Could you explain everyone like the basic rundown of a menstrual cycle so people are aware of it, and then we could go from there?
Yeah, so again, you'll have people coming to you and they'll think an app is going to predict when they ovulate for to conceive, but an app is only going to work on an algorithm all the time. So you could be trying to get pregnant on day 14, which is what your app will tell you ovulate if you have a 28-day cycle. But if you don't ovulate on day 14, you're missing a whole fertile window every month. So yeah, basically, so to start from a baseline of the menstrual cycle, so day one to example day 28. Now, normal cycle can be like 25 to 35-ish days, in or around that. So day one would be like the day one of your period. So hormones are at their lowest, the period begins and ends, and then you're kind of coming into this follicular phase. So follicular phase, first 2 weeks, hormones are low, and then they start to build up to a point where ovulation occurs. So certain hormones then will rise to trigger the release of an egg. Then you then enter the luteal phase, and that egg produces a little sac called a corpus luteum that produces progesterone. And you should be getting about a 14-day luteal phase. So again, some people are like, oh, I only get 21-day cycles. And it's like, yeah, 21 days. So are you ovulating at day 14? You're only getting a 7-day luteal phase. That can be a sign of like high stress because progesterone is being compromised. That sac is not producing that nice abundance of progesterone that should sustain you for those 2 weeks. So for fertility, that would be a big flag because progesterone is what helps and keeps people pregnant, I say. So yeah, you want to be having this on average 14-day follicular phase, on average 14-day luteal phase, give or take a day or two. If you're not ovulating until day 21 or day 22, it's like, what's going on? Why is your body taking so long to get over the line, as I call it, to release that egg? That can be a stress thing, a big thyroid thing, underfueled, overweight, and blocking these hormone things. So yeah, people are like, oh, I just have a cycle every 40 days. It's normal for me. 40 days is too long. What's going on? When are you ovulating? Why are you not ovulating sooner? Then on the flip side, some people can ovulate too quick, so they're their egg never matures to a level that it's going to kind of release a nice follicle that's going to sustain a pregnancy either. So yeah, a nice, yeah, 25 to 35, somewhat normal cycle length. You don't want either side too short or too long. You'll never go longer than 14 days with the luteal phase. That's always going to end in 14 days. But if you're only having a 7, it's a sign that progesterone is too low. So yeah, then again, so if you're getting a 35-day cycle and you're not ovulating until day 20 or 21, and your app says you're ovulating at day 14 and you're having sex all that week, you've missed your week. So it's not going to happen, and people can be, again, that's just another thing that's not even talked about in the clinics. When are you ovulating? Yeah, it's just straight to kind of, yeah, the IVF mode. So the
Yeah,
cycle is such a vital sign for so many aspects of health, even outside of fertility.
yeah,
But
yeah. No, and I and I have to agree with that. And Mark, you still work with some women as well
Yeah,
on your side, don't you?
yeah, yeah. Not
And
as
that's one
much
of
as
the
what I used
questions
to.
that, yeah, like I always ask is how regular are you? Like, are you tracking it? And some aren't, some aren't. Sorry, some are, some aren't, and some are still. Some that I had the pleasure of working with my age, sort of 30, 30, 31, who are still on contraception, Gemma. And it's like, wow, you've been on that a long time. Look, I don't want to put things in your head, but we did a whole podcast on this with Ella about it, talking about the dangers of these contraceptive
mm,
pills. But we need to be mindful of that because from a hormonal standpoint, it's gonna take time to rebuild your
yeah,
health. And if you do want a family, if you do want to lose weight effectively and have healthy function hormones that are optimal, you need to be thinking of changing this strategy a little bit,
mm,
and certainly having that discussion with your GP or doctor or certainly partner to come off them. But ultimately, it's obviously your choice. But yeah, it's amazing, right?
yeah, yeah. And I've contacted like GPs and fertility clinics when I first kind of qualified, asking is there any like room to collab, we'll say. So as in like fertility clinic have a nutritional therapist or a functional medicine practitioner that, okay, this person's PCOS, let's work on their diet, let's work on if they're overweight, let's work on these various issues that are driving that, and then try and get them pregnant naturally. And like, yeah, crickets. No one writes back. No one wants to go there. It's an us versus them, as opposed to people trying to, because look, there is such a need for medications for fertility in some cases. I've seen like girls with lean PCOS in particular, very, very resistant to protocol change, and ovulation induction can be great for those. But why? Yeah, it would be just amazing to see a world where the both worlds combine, and it's like diet and exercise is, because if someone's overweight and they go for fertility, they're automatically told lose weight, but
Yeah,
that's as far as it goes. And now it's the jabs. Maybe don't go there, but that's what's given now. It's there's the jabs, come back to me in 3 months and we'll see what's going on then. So they know there's a dietary health component, but that's as far as they're willing to go with it.
yeah, it is a sad story. It really is. Because for us, we've got the easy route really. For us men, our hormones stayed the same pretty much throughout the whole month. Whereas, you guys in particular, it's fluctuating all out for that month, isn't it? It's going to affect mood, it's going to affect motivation, it's going to affect mental and physical realms of this as well. But they still told the same advice. Just again, go on a jab, go on a diet,
Mm.
run on a treadmill,
Yeah.
lose some weight. It's like, good job, we've been doing that already for like the last year.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And then not taking into, some people then, like if someone has endometriosis, they might find it hard to exercise because they're in chronic pain. And, then for that, it's just slapped on a pill. Yeah, endometriosis diagnosis is just crazy. Again, I don't know about the UK. I think it's much the same in the UK actually. To get a diagnosis for endometriosis is just like, yeah, they don't want to go there. And I get it, it's an invasive surgery to but like up to 50 or 60% of people who are suffering with infertility can have endometriosis. And it's never mentioned, like never mentioned. Oh, would it be worth considering a laparoscopy? Oh, I had an MRI and I don't have endometriosis. An MRI is only going to pick up like a stage 4 deep infiltrating endometriosis, and has to be read by a really trained person who can read the MRIs, which there's not even specialist hubs. I think actually someone in London, maybe there is an endometriosis specialist place, but like girls in Ireland are going to Greece, they're going to Romania because they're specialists over there. Again, sometimes with unexplained infertility, no problems cycle wise, and then getting a laparoscopy and finding out there's endometriosis, you know. So, yeah, sorry, that was back to the point of those girls can be struggling to lose weight then, or struggling to exercise, because if they are symptomatic with it, in chronic pain, inflamed from lesions, you know, and just still being put in this box of, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And Gemma,
it's
how do you particularly when it comes to working with clients like that, especially particularly for PCOS and endometriosis, how do you pick that up? Let's say someone was coming in and saying, "Yeah, I've got all these symptoms, I'm in pain." How would you go about running labs for that, or running sort of diagnostics to pick it up to make sure that
mm,
what is happening is
yeah. So yeah, PCOS can be kind of one of those that's a little bit easier to pick up. And I do find there's a double kind of coin with PCOS. I have so many girls who come to me and were told they had PCOS, and I look at bloods and I'm like, there's not one sign of PCOS here. Like, your testosterone's actually low. And they were diagnosed in their teenage years. So when people are first cycling and women are hitting puberty, hormones are, I always say, the start of puberty and then coming towards menopause, hormones are more mental than they are for the rest of the cycling years. No, loads of women can present with numerous cysts on their ovaries as a result of this immature cycle in their younger years, and they're going to get this irregular cycles at the start. And those girls, again, from in my age group of the 30s, were told back then they had PCOS and they never had it, based on just one ultrasound with loads of cysts. If someone goes for an ultrasound on the pill, there's a high chance they'll be told they have PCOS as well, because the pill can cause numerous follicles to build up on the ovaries because they're not being ovulated. So those are two scenarios. But from a blood test aspect, PCOS can be one that can be relatively easy to see. So you can see elevated testosterone, an elevated LH hormone. So this is the hormone that kind of drives ovulation. So in PCOS, this is constantly being driven as elevated as a means for the body to try and ovulate, but it's never getting over the line. These girls then sometimes, when they're going to get pregnant, they do LH strips all the time. And I had one girl come to me and she was like, my friends told me I'm releasing 18 eggs a month. And I was like, what? I still think of her. She was just so funny. And I was like, what? And she was like, she kept getting these LH surges, which is a thing with PCOS, because the body's trying to ovulate, but it's never getting over there. So those, if there's anyone listening that is for fertility, LH strips, if you have PCOS, are not the way to go. So yeah, so with PCOS, you can see LH risen. You'll see elevated testosterone. And then commonly I find GPs don't check DHEAS, which is another androgen, but more of the adrenal type. So that can be elevated in cases of adrenal PCOS. And again, I had a client with that this morning, who took a long time to get a PCOS diagnosis, because they were like, no, your testosterone is normal, but her DHEAS is so high. So then you can look at things like blood sugar. Now, again, in Ireland, fasting insulin is a thing that they're just not wanting to check for. Other blood sugar markers, insulin resistance can be going on in the background before it can show up in like other markers like fasting glucose or HbA1c. But yeah, PCOS can be kind of easier to find in blood tests from an elevated androgen aspect, or that LH marker. Then there can be other parts to it as well, like elevated CRP from inflammation. Endo, not so easy to pick up. So yeah, you can see some level of inflammation in them. So a CRP marker would be an inflammatory marker, but I've seen girls with endo with no elevated CRP. So it's not
interesting.
always, it's like, it's not always risen. CA125 it's an ovarian cancer marker that was starting to be used as maybe a presumption of diagnosis for endo, that they did have a slight elevation. It kind of got dismissed. You know, they're trying to do other means of testing, but for endometriosis, you're kind of talking this laparoscopy, this
Yeah,
invasive operation,
yeah.
unfortunately. But you'll
Yeah.
nearly know by symptoms. If someone is debilitated with their period every month, getting really bad pain at ovulation, constant bloat, UTIs or bowel issues. I always say to people, if someone has cases of period and cyclical pain, I'm like, how's your bowel? How's your bladder? And if there's issues on both of those sides, you can nearly kind of put them in an endometriosis investigation category, because the lesions can be lying on the bladder or the bowel. And again, I see so many girls, oh yeah, I got told I had IBS. And then 6 years later, I got told I had endo. So they never had IBS. It was the endo impact on the bowel, we'll say. So yeah, endo a bit harder to, yeah, it is that invasive laparoscopy to get a full diagnosis, we'll say.
Jeez. Yeah. What's worked well with some of your clients then, Gemma, when you've had people with endometriosis and PCOS? Is it the same similar route? I mean, I'll
Um,
ask the question because we all work with individual cases and client bases. But as a general rule, do you prioritize certain things like the gut? Do you prioritize things like liver, or what do you tend to do that works quite well?
Yeah, well, I would always say to people, I always ask people. So I think sometimes when people come to us, we're kind of their last resort, or they may have done some research themselves. So everyone seems to be taking the random supplements that an influencer said to take for PCOS or an influencer took for endo. And I'm like, and there can be interactions for those girls. Like some girls could be taken. So I always say with herbs, I have such a pet peeve about this. Like example, licorice can be great for taking down androgens, but if you have high blood pressure, licorice is going to drive it. Everyone is so individual. What works for Mary is not going to work for you. Maybe it might, but there's a high chance it would have some interaction for you. So this is where bloods is always key as well, so you know exactly what you need. But I find like people are dismissing the impact that diet has when they come to things like this. They think the supplements are the thing, not the diet. So with PCOS, yeah, you're looking at always making sure blood sugar is balanced, enough protein with meals, a lower carb diet in some cases, but lower carb, not no carb. People are like, I went on 20 grams of carbs, or my PT told me I have a PT, there's a PT in my town, it's 20 grams of carbs. And I'm like, what? Like they're trying to get pregnant. 20 grams of carbs, your body is in serious fight or flight on 20 grams of carbs. Eat up. Like, so it's, yeah, it's, I would say a lower carb, but not a no carb. Balanced blood sugar, so protein with every meal. Anti-inflammatory diet is always going to be kind of the way for most things, endometriosis as well. So I was talking to Nathan, who we were in the course with, and there's an anti-processed food influencer in Ireland at the moment, but I don't think she's hit on year end yet. Has she? Sophie Mars, have you heard of her? No. She goes around, does the shopping, kind of like that Eddie Abu, or is that his name? Eddie Abu? Eddie?
Eddie Abu, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So kind of like that, where she goes around, picks at all the kind of process this and process that in the supermarkets, which can be amazing because it's making people aware. So always, as I say to people, as more whole foods as you can is always going to be the best diet, with tweaks for you depending on what's going on for you. Some people with endo do well if they have the really gut overlap with things like low FODMAP diet. Some people will notice no change with low FODMAP diet. Some people will notice a massive difference taking out gluten. I've had some girls taking out gluten, it made them worse because it was making them go for bad these gluten-free choices. It's not take out this gluten-free cupcake and put, or take out this gluten cupcake and put in a gluten-free cupcake. You know, it still always needs to be this as much whole foods as you can. But I would say with endo, an anti-inflammatory diet across the board for people with gut issues, yeah, low FODMAP or looking at some gut healing aspect if that's a big thing. Or again, with endo, with painful periods, I'll normally always see constipation. So those girls are not excreting their estrogen properly, and that estrogen is inflammatory. That estrogen is driving that endo further. So there'll always be an element of making sure the gut is functioning in that aspect with endometriosis. PCOS, then things that improve insulin sensitivity, so like getting them to try and incorporate weight training, even walking after meals, small little tips and tricks. But yeah,
yeah.
you're always looking at blood sugar balance in that way, anti-inflammatory diet with the endo way. But look, we all know, like everyone knows, but I don't think everyone implements. as much as close back to nature as you can with food. It doesn't have to be about going around shops and reading labels. It's like you don't need to buy things with labels. The most of the food that we want to eat doesn't have a label. Potatoes don't have a label, as in they do, but they don't. You know what I'm saying. Um, but yeah, there would be a big gut overlap with endo, and there has been, like, they tested menstrual blood for women with endo and found most of them had high levels of certain toxins that bacteria create in their blood, so indicating there's an infection upstream, so in the gut, so a low-lying bacteria that's there, or downstream, so there can be like infections in the vaginal microbiome that can be causing this constant infection. So anything that's mounting this immune response is going to be responsible for endo. So yeah, you want to kind of, again, where finances allow people to explore things with endo. If I had a client with endo who can go there with like maybe some stool test, I think it's so invaluable to make sure that the gut is functioning properly. Estrogen detoxification is being done there. Nice bacteria are flourishing. There's no permeability in that gut lining that's creating this massive immune response. There's no low-lying infection that's going to be driving those lesions. But obviously you have to meet people where they're at. In an ideal world, we'd all be able to test this, that, and the other. But yeah, sorry, long-winded again. So yeah, endometriosis, I would say anti-inflammatory and looking at the gut, PCOS, blood sugar balance, and insulin sensitivity. But it's always going to be an emphasis on whole foods. Sometimes I think people want to glamorize all this. I don't know if you find the same with your clients. They want to take this supplement and this supplement and this superfood. And yes, superfoods can be amazing for things, but it's like, is your basic day to day, the basic fundamentals, whole foods, enough nutrition, anti-inflammatory, nice amount of good fats, yeah, basics aren't sexy, I say.
Yeah, that's so true. I think as well from a sort of a lifestyle point of view, that's what blew my mind, and it's going a little bit tangent, but of how much in our lifestyles plastic can interfere with fertility as well, and
Yeah,
that doesn't get
yeah,
talked about, does it?
no,
So
no,
It should do with the amount of plastics that are in Gymshark leggings that women wear in the gym.
yeah, yeah.
No,
Boiling the bag rice, like that was a big thing in again in I always say, like, Uncle Ben doesn't give a fuck about your hormones. It's just a thing I say, but it's so true. Like, and people are trying to do well with eating well, and they might get some rice they can bring to work, and it's the microwavable rice. And it's like, yeah, okay, great with the rice maybe, but can we take it out of the plastic, or can we get one that's not in plastic? And it's hard. Like, life is busy and it's hard, but yeah, plastics is just bloody everywhere. Fragrances, like in certain clinics I've had lots of clients go to Greece and stuff for IVF. And there's so much things checked there that's not checked here, and you're not allowed to wear fragrances coming up to your IVF. The I can never pronounce this word right. Embryologists aren't allowed to wear fragrance because it can damage the embryo. But yet we're all going around doused in fragrances and doused in makeup and doused in this and that and the other, and they all have a chemical interference. And sometimes I hate saying it to people, or stop burning your Yankee candles. Like, you're probably the same as me. If you go into a house and there's a smell, I'm like, oh my god, open the windows, open the windows. My partner got a receipt in an airport one day and we couldn't find a bin, and he was like, get this fucking receipt off me before it wrecks my hormones. And I was like, oh god, we're too far down the line. But there's, yeah, even receipts like have BPA, and that can disrupt like PCOS hormones. It can drive estrogen and endometriosis. We're just living in a toxic world. And sometimes I hate saying to people, because look, when people come for fertility, some of them have been years in this, and it's like they're seeing their friend again. I remember on my own fertility journey, and my partner being like, and he used the name Samantha. Sorry if there's any Samantha listening, but Gemma, do you think, and just kind of making out like this, stereotypical Great Britain type kind of character, do you think Samantha is taking all these supplements? As in, like, there's people who don't take all this. There's people who don't do all the right things and still get pregnant. So it's so hard for people who are suffering from fertility when I'm telling them, please try and cut plastics, don't wear a load of fragrances, try not to use a lot of synthetic things, when there's people who are getting away with it. But there's so much genetic standpoints. How well is one body detoxifying things compared to someone else? So it's like, yeah, without it being another stressor, being aware of plastics, fragrances, don't take a receipt if you can. Um, Yeah, but it is it's a mad toxic world. Even I just obviously I had a baby there 9 months ago, and I'm cooking for her now, and it's like the air fryers there, the non-stick pans, and I'm like, what the
Yeah,
heck? Like I have to try so hard now to keep her away from chemicals that weren't there when I was a baby. That my mother didn't have to look at, or our mothers didn't have to look at. You know, now I don't think my partner tried to convince me non-stick was there then. I don't think it was 30 years ago, was it? Maybe
right.
it
I
was.
mean,
Maybe no, I don't think so.
everything would have been cast iron back then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
yeah,
they're all things as well. Like, so it's like, what about in her generation? What are they going to be like in 30 years? With all the easy quick fixes we have here, and the air fryers and the non-sticks, and you know, yeah, the coffee cups with the plastic, and you couldn't go out and buy a coffee in a coffee plastic thing 30 years ago. You know, so it's yeah, I dread to see the babies of now in 20 or 30 years, because it's getting more toxic. So there deserves to be an awareness, whether
yeah.
people, yeah, yeah, it's not nice to be panicked about it, but yeah,
Well, it's
you're
big
probably the
area.
same as me.
Yeah, it's a big area. Like if you guys are listening as well, go and watch a really good film with Mark Ruffalo called Dark Waters. That sort of fucking changed even the learn that we were taught as well on BPA and phthalates on female fertility and just general hormones as a whole, but how toxic it is, but just how it's in everything. It's a bloody good film, Deep Waters. Highly recommend watching it, and you realize, holy shit, it's in everything. And the first thing to do is make those little swaps, Gem, that you say, like
Mm.
the cooking pans, the utensils, moving away from and I think this is another one. This hex clad that Gordon Ramsay's promoting as well. It's just another form of this horrible toxic pan that has just been remarketed and re-altered. But it's scratch free. It won't leach into your food. It's like it's just been
Yeah,
remarketed and it's been
yeah,
redistributed as a different thing.
yeah,
Because
So
yeah,
stainless.
it's not
yeah.
difficult to find either. And these pans, like I can't remember the name of the company that I've got. I've got one which has got the hex thing on it, but it's a stainless steel pan. It's a stainless steel pan with stainless steel hex. So there's nothing artificial in it at all. It's all toxin free. And I've got all my other pans. Again, I can't remember what the name of the company is. Open Place or something like that. I forget the name. And I've got all my pots, all my pans from there, and they last like 8 years. And then I've got this one frying pan, which is the steel cast iron hex. That's it. Like I'm not. We don't say to people go out there and spend hundreds of pounds instantly. Just make slow incremental changes. But I think
Yeah,
the problem that we have here is these types of things, like what we say about perfumes and shower gels and shampoos and face creams and toothpaste and pans and what you wash your stuff in, and or that was falls in that realm of conspiracy. No, it really doesn't, because if we think about all the conspiracies that we've all spoken about for
Hmm.
many years, well, they're not conspiracies anymore. They're very
Mm.
true and very real. And yeah, okay, it might affect your cognitive dissonance a little bit, where your belief system's about to be changed because you think you're doing all right and you're actually not. And it's I don't know which one of you just said this now. Like, we're not here to scare people. No, we are. Well, I am, because you need to be aware of it. You need to be aware of it.
Yeah.
You can be completely ignorant if you want to. And as Jim
Mm.
Rohn says, you sit in a corner and we'll put a blanket around you and we'll feed you three fucking microwavable meals a day, and you're going to die from plastic overdosing and what else. But you're not going to be living. There's no health there. You're just going to end up sick and sicker and then sicker still. So
Mm.
you can either take ownership of your actions and remember that everything that has happened in your life and everything that will ever happen in your life is down to your choices, and then make those changes, or not make those changes. But if you don't make those changes, don't bitch about it.
Yeah.
I get to that point.
Yeah.
I'm just like, here's all the information that is out there. Use your critical thinking skills and go and research it yourself, because the government and the medical system aren't there to help you. They're there to profit from you. So yeah, okay, if you've had like an arm broken or you need brain surgery, please go and see a brain surgeon, because
Mm.
that's very important. But if you want to make changes to your overall health, then you're going to have to start realizing that these things are actually true. Like, I had this same conversation with my mum about 4 weeks ago. I said to her mum, just download an app called Yucca, stick it on your
Mm.
phone, and just scan every single thing you've got in your kitchen, from what you wash your dishes with and what you wash your clothes with, to what you eat, and it will tell you whether or not what you are eating is poisonous or not. It's a quite simple thing to do. She messaged me back 48 hours later going, fuck's sake, I have to replace my entire kitchen. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because everything in there is toxic. Like I've told you.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just about bringing people the awareness of it. If you want to act on it or not, then don't. That's your choice. But then again, don't complain about it. Don't
Yeah.
complain. You know, we're here to help educate and to pass that information. But you know, some people need to be armbarred into it, and some people just need to be told, and they'll go. But you haven't got to do it. You haven't got to go into your whole house and just get rid of everything and live in like an empty house and then just start replacing things and costing you a fortune. Do it bit by bit. I mean, it's taken us all like 5-6 years to get to this point to be able to swap things out. Do it bit by bit. Swap your shower gel for some natural soap. Swap your frying pan with a non-toxic cast iron. Like, they're not expensive. And it would last you like 20 years more. So you only got to buy one. Like, it's not a difficult thing. But anyway, before I forget, because this was quite an important thing that I wanted to bring up while you were talking about the pregnancy side of things, Gemma, something which obviously one of our mutual friends speaks to me about quite a lot, and I know you're obviously going to be quite knowledgeable in this area as well. An area for guys particularly as well, and I don't think there's a test for this yet, but I know there is for women, is the vaginal biome, like the bacterial setup of the vaginal biome and how important this is towards fertility. Is this something you touch upon and know about or not?
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, I had one girl yesterday actually, who had done one. Now she had done one. This was the girl who was pushing for a routine test and wasn't allowed to get it done because in this hub in Ireland, you're put in a basic freeness, but you can't expand outside that. So she's had 2 recurrent miscarriages, 2 failed transfers. So she ended up, she pushed for the test herself and she had endometriosis. So yes, there's lots of people with endometriosis, not endometriosis, endometriosis. So an infection in that endometrium with this mass inflammation. So it normally results as an infection somewhere else. So if I have someone who comes to me with that, I'm like, okay, we need to check if that infection migrated from vagina up or from gut down, or what was the scenario. So yeah, vaginal microbiome testing is a lot I do now. And look, I always say you can never guarantee. I like, people text me and be like, oh my God, thanks so much, you got me pregnant. And I can never say it's me that got them pregnant. Was it just the way things lined up that month? But I have had girls who've done, I had one girl do two IUIs. And then, so IUIs where they just put a sperm up to the egg, we'll say. And then we did a vaginal microbiome test and she got pregnant on her 3rd IUI. Coincidence? Maybe not. Coincidence? Maybe so. So you don't know, and that's the thing. I can't say for sure, but I would say it had a big role. So with vaginal microbiome, yeah, there's certain infections there: ureaplasma, mycoplasma, Gardnerella, all really, really common. Like, I haven't seen, except for that girl yesterday who had the antibiotic for the endometriosis, her vagina was flourishing, as in she had lots of the good guys, no bad guys, but it's because she had been treated for an infection. But other than that, everyone has had something bad. Either this mycoplasma, this ureaplasma, the Gardnerella, and they're low-lying infections that you may not have symptoms with. And then again, so I had a girl in Australia actually get it done, and her clinic were on board. I feel like the clinics compared to a year ago are becoming more on board, and they will give treatment for it because it can be very hard to treat herbally. But they will give treatment for it. But then I was like, okay, so when's your partner finishes an antibiotic? Because she was wanting to go again, and I'm like, don't have sex while you're being treated because you can pass it back and forth. And she was like, oh, my partner. And I was like, it's an STI at the end of the day. It's passed on, all of these infections. And they didn't treat her partner. And I'm like, and she wanted to be pregnant in 2 months before making a call on whether she was going to go for IVF or not. I'm like, no, girl, like, you can't have sex this month because you're going to get this back. And to tell someone that who's on a fertility journey and wants to be pregnant now is so hard. So I'm like, as a practitioner, I say no. As a woman, I get it. Do what you want to do this month, but you're going to get it back. That's the way it is. So yeah, there's such a huge thing there. And again, I've had clients go to Greece. Greece just seems to be an amazing place for IVF. Routine vaginal microbiome test, done. Endometriosis test done. Like there's so many, so they can see it's a thing. Why is Ireland not? Now I do feel, as I said, in compared to the last year, it's becoming more prevalent. But if I had known about that when I was a teenager, that like you're told in Ireland it's Catholic schools, and you're basically told, like in Mean Girls, when you have sex you will die, or you're going to get pregnant that first go. But you're never told about HPV is sexually transmitted,
Yep.
BV, mycoplasma, ureaplasma. You might lose a tube if you get chlamydia. You're just told you're either going to have crabs and you're going to be scratching yourself, or you're going to get pregnant and die. Like, it's like, what the fuck? Like, this is just another thing. It's like, these are STIs and they're passed back and forward, and they can have a role on fertility down the line. And it's like, yeah, even to get one done, like if you wanted one done privately, because the girl then was like, I don't know if my partner will take the antibiotic randomly. How can he get checked? And I'm like, he has to go to an STI clinic, which a lot of people don't want to just walk into an STI clinic for a fertility thing. When I was on my journey, I got it done in Thailand, actually, and it was an STI clinic. And I remember them waving the bag, STI clinic, Gemma Burns, and or STI test, Gemma Burns. And I just wanted to say, no, like, this is for fertility. It's a vaginal microbiome I want. But yeah, I had it, the ureaplasma, mycoplasma, and no symptoms from it. And so many women do. And yeah, as much as you hate saying it, it's like my daughter will not be going outside the door. She'll never be having sex, because it's like, it is.
We
These
will die
things are.
without sex.
These things play a role in fertility. I see so many girls who've lost tubes down to chlamydia. It's not talked about enough. Like, it's
Yeah.
so common. Yeah, and then infection, pelvic inflammatory disease, that can be down to STIs throughout the years as well. And again, people may not be symptomatic for years down the line. And it's like, sex ed in school is so basic. You're not told of the implications for fertility of all these things. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's another one. And then you should have, so like, you shouldn't have infection, but you should have an abundance of this, like, lactobacillus. And like, no vaginal microbiome tests that I'm seeing are like abundance in this nice lactobacillus. So I will always say to anyone who comes to me for fertility, financially, whether they can do a vaginal microbiome test or not, get on a women's health probiotic with a nice abundance of these lactobacillus, the specific kind of strains of it that go to that vaginal canal. Because it makes, like, lactobacillus dominant environment helps with implantation, helps prevent miscarriage, even helps with, like, when you conceive and have a baby, your vaginal microbiome is your baby's gut microbiome, because as much as people don't want to hear it, they swallow that on their way down. So again, for me getting pregnant, I was like, oh fuck, get all this lactobacillus up. That's my baby's microbiome one day, and that's going to play a role in what her gut health is going to be like. So I definitely, and in Ireland, like, yeah, in the lab that I use, it's like €200, so maybe £180 or
It's
£170
nothing. It's
to
about
do that
180.
test. It's nothing compared to some tests that would
No,
be of a higher cost.
no. I mean, that's roughly
So
the same price as an oral microbiome test, so they're very similar pricing.
yeah, and it's very, just a small swab, and you go to the post office and post it back. No one knows what it is
Yeah,
that you're
just
posting back.
walking in with a swab, stick it back.
Yeah.
Posted it. Here we go.
But for me, and again, like, I've done this research and I haven't found anything yet, other than going to a clinic. That I don't actually think there is a penile biome test that you can get done. Is there?
Yeah, I've heard of that. I actually saw only a small thing about it there a while ago. I think it was a webinar actually with that lab maybe that I use. It was someone anyway, and I was like, Jesus, I must look into this and how that's playing a role as well. Because you'd imagine so. Sure, if so, yeah, I know if you were to get the ureaplasma and mycoplasma checked in Thailand when I was there, it was like a urine test. So I don't know how they would do. Maybe it's a urine test for men for the penile one, but yeah, another interesting one. And I feel like, again, with fertility, I've had two men for fertility ever in my years of doing this. Two men that came on a call. So I normally work with like a women's health consultation if it's for fertility, or a couple. So I'm like, okay, most people, you need a couples consult. But no, my partner's fine. And I'm like, okay, what's been checked? So sperm motility, sperm morphology, sperm count, all good. My partner can think he can go out and drink every weekend. And DNA fragmentation, so it's like, yeah, whether the DNA in the sperm is healthy or not is not routinely checked. So a man thinks, I got my thumbs up, and I've seen this, like men even saying to women, oh, it's not me. And then they keep doing stuff and keep doing stuff. And then I'm like, maybe a DNA fragmentation test to be done. And there's DNA fragmentation there. So just because a man gets the sperm count, motility, morphology thumbs up, it doesn't mean his sperm is healthy at
No.
all. It can be DNA damaged. And that's another thing. A man needs to be on a baseline, a prenatal. They need to be not drinking every week. Like it's even shown in, yeah, it's just another thing I find wild. People will come for fertility, but it's for fertility. It's not for like what's your offspring's health going to be like. And that comes down to yours and your partner's health at the time of conception. Even from a Chinese medicine, your life force and stuff is the baby's life force at time of conception. And I just feel like no one, and I hate saying no one cares, but I even remember putting that out on Instagram, being like, it's not just about getting pregnant, it's about what health your baby's going to be like,
Yeah.
and it's huge. So just because a man gets the thumbs up, it doesn't mean everything's all good and he can go out and drink pints with the lads all weekend, and you're in doing everything and avoiding plastics and not lighting a candle. And it's two to tango. He needs to be on it as well, and look, to be fair, some men are the ones that are proactive and the woman is not. But it's, yeah, it's always, in 90% of cases I see the women carry the burden and think it's them, and
Yeah.
yeah, so it's
No.
and again, people just think they don't have to worry about the diet with the fertility. I'll just do the supplements and I'll just do this, and it's like, again, the diet is the foundation. Not as much toxins, not cooking in plastics, not cooking in your non-sticks, an abundance of antioxidants. I feel like people have got the protein thing kind of down lately, so the blood sugar thing can be kind of, but it's like, I use the analogy of, we're born with an egg and a sperm that's like a green apple, and as we get older, that green apple turns brown. What's
Yeah.
going to make the green apple go back green, i.e. our sperm and egg? Antioxidants. Where do you get antioxidants? Fruit, veg. I often get people to get like bottles of cranberry juice or pomegranate juice, things with this really high auric antioxidant value. Small thing everyone can do, because not everyone wants to eat 8 to 9 portions of fruit and veg a day, and yeah. But yeah, so sorry, the vaginal microbiome test, yeah, huge one, and not mentioned at all unless you go to Greece. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I think it's just a very important thing to add in, because again, it's obviously something which a lot of females don't think about how there is a biome down there, and it's the perfect breeding ground, really.
yeah,
It's damp and it's warm. It's a perfect
yeah,
breeding ground. And
yeah,
as we talked about, as I mentioned earlier, you're now in your Gymshark plastic made leggings, sweating in your very thin thong in a gym, which is hot already. This gets even worse, and
yeah,
then you're getting all the plastics being absorbed through the vaginal wall and all that stuff as well. And then
yeah,
for men at
yeah,
the same time, not much is talked about when it comes to the hygiene side of it for men either. Like, you should be wearing boxers that are literally so skinny jean tight that your testicles are suffocating. Like, you should be wearing
yeah.
cotton or linen like made
Mm.
boxers. Same again, don't wear your skinny jeans because you're a man. You don't need to wear skinny jeans. Like,
Mm.
just wear trousers,
Yeah,
wear some chinos or something, for God's sake. Like, you never
Yeah.
saw James Bond rescuing a fair maiden with skinny jeans on. Like, dress appropriately. Like, I think, in that sense, and like, just look after your manhood. Like, don't just expect
Yeah.
because you can ejaculate that there's actually anything good quality there.
Mm.
hang on, Mark. I think as well, Jen, like you said, it takes two to tango, doesn't it? And
Mm.
I was reading about a study the other week about, I pronounced it right, varicocele. So that's a
Oh,
vein.
variocele. Oh my God. Like, I've
So
had 2 people with a variocele that were never investigated and were just dismissed with, oh, you just have no sperm, tough titty kind of thing. Anyway, go on.
yeah,
That's
well,
surgery.
no,
That's surgery to fix that as well. And that,
you
if you don't catch it early enough, anyway. I mean, horse chest. I think
Yeah.
it's horse
horse
chestnut, isn't it?
chestnuts.
That's
That
the
was the thing.
early
Yeah,
one of the early things you can bring in for that. But other than that, it's
Yeah.
operation.
Mm.
yeah, no, but you're right. Not wearing fucking skinny jeans but
Sorry.
skinny jeans and
I
having
was
your
off on these random tangents, just trying to make men again. Just don't wear skinny jeans. For God's sake.
just not wear skinny jeans. Go out, like, go commando where possible.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
go for it.
Even men don't want to stop saunas. Like I'm like, oh, my partner does saunas and he doesn't want to give them up. I'm like, get fucked. Like, tell him to give him. That's
Well,
huge.
my
Yeah,
I was going to say that's so funny you say that because I was making the guy who I go to a sauna his facility laugh because I was bringing in a fucking and not that we're planning to have kids and family yet, but just to help with sperm quality, just to help with my
Bring in your
testosterone,
ice pack.
fucking do right, yeah, ice pack under the old nuts and there.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
what are you doing? I'm like, dude, it doesn't like hot.
yeah,
It doesn't like heat. We like
yeah.
cold.
Yeah, that's why they're outside the body. When I explain that to people, they're like, "What?" That's why they're out, and it's like, yeah, saunas has so much benefits for loads of things, but not for the swimmers, and it's just
It makes sense, doesn't it? Well, the whole yin and yang Chinese medicine. We now
yeah,
see more and more studies with women not liking the cold as much. They prefer heat.
mm,
Men
yeah,
cold. I don't know.
yeah,
It
yeah.
could be pointing that direction, but the fucking information is there, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Even
Yeah.
even the Chinese medicine aspect of fertility, like I'll always see girls after Christmas and after the summer with periods that are worse. So Christmas, obviously you're eating a load of shit because it's Christmas and you're drinking loads. And the summer, everyone's milling icy drinks, ice cold stuff. So from a like Chinese medicine aspect, they would look at infertility as like there can be numerous elements. There can be normally like blood deficiency. So lack of like blood building, so like when you're looking at blood building foods, green foods, red meats, all those kind of blood building, but like kind of like I call it like blood deficiency, a lack of vitality, that real pale drawn. Now I probably look paler drawn, I haven't slept in 9 months, but you know what I mean, as in like, yeah, that vitality aspect. And then not that the uterus is not cold, and they can, even if you go to an acupuncturist, they can do this is it moxibustion or something, and it'll show that there's like cold in the uterus at times. They can kind of put it over, and it's just another thing that people do. Girls, iced coffee and ice matches are all in vogue now. And yeah, from a fertility lens, you don't want to have all this cold stagnation. Again, I'll watch you, as if I tell some people you'll have cold uterus, they look at you with 10 heads. But some people, like, and the Chinese medicine thing is on it, like they're on it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah.
Yeah. No, it's been very eye opening. Very eye opening. Can't pronounce my words. But Mark, did you need to add anything else?
Yeah,
I think it's been a blast so
no,
far.
I've just been sat here learning, bro. It's been all good.
Yeah. Without
And
going down.
listening to the accent, I could just listen to Gem talk all day long. So it's
Yeah, no, I think it's been a great podcast today, and I definitely have Gemma back on
yes, yes.
with other areas because this is the thing with us guys. If you're listening, we will be here for hours and hours and hours and hours down very many rabbit holes. So I think it'd be good to get Gemma back on again and talk about this stuff. And yeah, talk about maybe about being a parent, Gemma. That'd be quite good for some.
Yeah, that's another, like, I thought looking after my own health was one thing, and now I have another human to worry. But even like, I feel like, sorry, just we'll open that can for a tiny minute. I feel like now as a parent, okay, I'm like what we and my partner do for our child, you would not find obscene. But if I was to tell someone else what I do, it's like I feel like since becoming a parent, other parents are your judgment. And we recently did this thing, so it's 101 foods before one. Okay. So it's like trying to incorporate 101 foods into a baby's diet in the first 6 months of life, or first 6 months of eating, to build their gut microbiome, to prevent allergies, to help with their gut microbiome, to help with hormones, all these things down the line. I'm like, you feel like sometimes you can't share those things because there's like, oh, you're entitled, well for you, but we prioritize our health, so it's there can be a thing with health. I find it's, oh, it's well for you, oh, it's easy for you. And
Yeah,
it's like, yeah, okay, it can be easier for some people. I always say, if you're a PT and you work in a gym and you can do your workout there, amazing, it is a little bit easier. But everyone makes the choice to have something of health, like they take it in their hand. I'm not like, I wasn't like, well, look, I was so excited about doing the 101 foods, but I'm not like every morning, I can't wait to just scrub my fucking pan because I don't have, like Ella had a reel up a while ago, or scrubbing the pan, you get the pain. So yeah, I feel like sometimes it's like people judge people who are healthy as like, oh, they're entitled, well for them. And it's just something I've seen since I've had a child. But yeah, it's like, give people a bit of credit. Before it was like fair play. Like I'm breastfeeding now, she's 9 months. Oh, what are you still doing that for? Oh, you don't have to be a hero. You can get your body back. And I'm like, no, I like this. I want to do this for my child's health. And look, it doesn't work out for everyone, but yeah, it's just another thing I find sometimes with the health aspect. It's like, or people don't want to turn healthy because their friends are going to judge them. And
Yeah.
it's like, we should all be, it should be just normal to want to live like this. But anyway, sorry, that was just another
No, it's
random
true. It's true. And
yeah.
it all comes down to priorities. Like, what do you prioritize? Like, that's the most important thing. And again, I don't want to isolate any of my friends at this point, but being 45 years old, and I've got men and women in my age group who are my friends who still on the weekends go out, get drunk, take drugs. What's you doing?
Yeah.
And then they moan
Yeah.
at me that they're fat, or they're out of shape, or they can't be consistent at the gym. Priorities, or they haven't got the money.
Yeah.
I can't afford to take this supplement and buy that food. Yes, you can. You probably still got
Yeah.
£100 on the weekend because it's not
Yeah.
cheap to go out anymore. Beers are
Mm.
cigarettes aren't cheap, vapes aren't cheap,
Yeah.
not cheap anymore. So you're probably blowing about £200-300 on the weekend anyway. Let's just
Mm.
average that out to £200 on a weekend, and you're doing that every weekend in a month. That's £800. Don't tell me you can't afford it. You've got the newest iPhone. You've got a 95,000 foot TV. Of course you can bloody afford it. It comes down to priority. And this is where I guess over this time I've become a little bit more like, no, that's an excuse. There's no such word as can't.
Mm.
If you
Mm.
don't want to, or you won't.
Yeah.
There's a very different thing going on here.
Yeah.
So it's what you prioritize. Because
Yeah.
of where you're coming from and all the years you've been doing this, you've prioritized your health, and you've done everything that you can to make sure that your baby's health was the priority at the
Mm.
same time. And now that you
Mm-hmm.
have a baby,
Mm.
you're now putting all
Doesn't
that
end.
effort into theirs, so they can grow
Yeah.
up and have a life that maybe you didn't have, in the
Yeah.
sense of health. So they'd be free
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
health complications, because
Yeah.
when you were growing up, there wasn't as much toxicity as there is now. So you're giving them a much higher advantage when it
Mm.
comes to later on in life, because it's probably going to be even more toxic
Oh,
in the next
absolutely.
years. So why not
Yeah.
set them up now? Like, what's more
Mm.
important, a new iPhone and going out every weekend, or your baby's health?
Yeah.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
sounds harsh. That's the choice, but that is the
No,
choice.
yeah, and it is, and I just feel like social media at the moment, like, I know there's a select few, and actually three girls I would look at with their kids that all do the same with my kid. Ella would be one, and another two girls from that institute, and I feel like everyone else is probably, and I know because even my own friends are like, oh, well for you, with certain things. It's like, yeah, I don't know if it's coming from a kind of a, maybe they want to do it and they haven't embarked on it, but like, there's help everywhere, there's education everywhere. It's not easy, but when you change one thing, as you said, we're not expecting everyone to overhaul their house in 6 years, or in 6 months. Over years you can do this. Over years you can make a little swap, because it is overwhelming to go from 0 to 100. But as I always say, from 0 to 10 to 20 to 30 to 40. Sometimes people go 0 to 100 and back to zero, and it's like, yeah, small things and small pieces. And yeah, as basic as saying it is, it's health is your wealth. And I see mothers of teenagers. I will get a lot of mothers reach out to me for help with their teenage daughters. So again, I do think the awareness is there, but what's it going to be like in 18 years if this world is going to keep getting more toxic and more toxic? What are 18-year-olds going to be like in their cycles in 18 years? Whereas if there's some little thing that can be done to prevent and help with that, which there is, it's knowledge, yeah, it should be kind of commended as opposed to this well for you attitude. But I
I
know.
agree. I agree. And I think, again, don't want to open up that tinfoil hat area yet, because we haven't got down that road. But I think, with the things that are going on out there in the world, which are clearly trying to sterilize the whole planet, I think fertility is going to be something which is going to be a marker of true health as you get older.
Yeah. Yeah.
As the years go on, because there are going to be so many sterile youngsters that if you can have a kid, you're going to be one of the lucky ones. So I think if you can prioritize that now, so that way then you look after that and you don't take unnecessary vaccines that you don't need to
Mm.
have. You stay away from all these other types of things. You will be one of the 1%, where if you just follow the herd, you're going to end up being part of that same thing, and you're going to end up wishing that you had taken the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
do your due diligence now, and
Mm.
you'll reap the benefits later on down the line.
Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's hard to be on top of your health now, would you? Like, I think this is just who I am now.
No, it's easy.
I know
At
we're
the
a bit
start,
behind
when I
the
was
times.
navigating stuff.
I know the
Yeah.
UK was still a little bit behind the times compared to other countries, but
Little.
I feel like there's been a bit of a shift.
Mm.
Slowly getting there.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a ship turning around in the ocean, isn't it? It's just slowly. It's just taking its time, but it is turning, even though you can't see it. It is happening.
Yeah.
But thank you
Awesome.
so much, Jem, for coming
Thanks.
on.
Okay, no problem. Lovely chat.
Where can people find you, and if they need to reach out? And
So Instagram, I suppose. So GB Nutritional Therapy with 2 Y's. The other name was gone at the time. I don't know why, and I went to try and find that person after. So yeah, Instagram. Yeah.
cool. I will put that in the show notes as well. And is there any other channels that you're on, Gemma, or is it just mainly Instagram?
No, just mainly Instagram. Actually, I have said I'm going to give it to a year till my baby's a year, and then get a website and do this. And have you went to TikTok? No.
Not yet.
No.
I
Yeah.
couldn't be through with it. Like it just, I took one look at it. I thought, nah, it's not me.
I know. It's very
I'm not dancing around.
attention span lacking. But I started a business course actually last week, just a small little course, and they said that Instagram is now a male dominated platform and TikTok is women, which I never knew. So yeah, I may need to go there. But if you're targeting men, you're good with your Instagram.
But of both, we got equal 50-50.
Okay.
So may need to be on both. So anyway,
Yeah.
but we'll have you on again, Gemma. It was so good to catch up as well. So yeah, Mark, do you want to add anything before we close?
No, I'm all good. It's just been a pleasure to see Gem again. It's been so long.
Yeah.
It's been so
Absolutely.
long. I'm glad you're doing well, my darling. I really am.
Yeah, thanks a million. Loving it. That was a nice little air break for me now. Adult conversation. Okay, have a nice day, guys.
Thanks, Gem. Stay blessed, everybody. Take care.
Talk to you. Bye.
Bye.